Today on Conversations, I'm joined by a Canadian icon. She is breaking down doors and making history every single day that goes by, and she's winning over the hearts of fans every day as well. The first, the greatest, and the longest reigning Women's United States champion of all time. Welcome, Chelsea. How are you today?
Thanks for having me. I've got my beautiful piece of jewelry here. She's all polished up, sitting here waiting for SmackDown this coming week. Yeah, I'm great. Life is good. Life is really good.
That's really good to hear. You are crushing it as the Women's United States champion. What does it mean to you, though, being the first ever Women's United States champion?
It's crazy because when I set out to be a wrestler, I didn't really know what my goals were because I didn't know what this industry and this job entailed. And then as I've kind of gone through the years of my career, I've changed the goalposts, I've changed the goals, I've changed kind of like where I wanted to, where I envisioned myself in 5 to 10 years. Now it's 10 years.
Wow.
And there's this, right? And there's this beautiful United States championship sitting in front of me, and I could have never even put that on a vision board. I could have never imagined that not only that we would have this championship, but that I would be the inaugural champion for so many different reasons. I mean, being Canadian is just a tiny part of that equation, but it makes me really, really proud because I have definitely been very aloof with my career. It is what it is. I don't have I'm not really set in my ways when it comes to I need this now, and I just kind of let things kind of evolve.
So it just kind of happens, right? You're just going through your career. You didn't know exactly where you're going to end up, but now that you're here in WWE, the first ever Women's United States champion, it has to be a dream come true, right?
It is. It's a dream that I didn't even envision, and it came true. And I'm so honored. I can't believe that, when kids go through the history books of WWE, they're going to see me next to this title for, the rest of time.
It's an inspiration all the way from BC, and here we are going to Toronto, Ontario, Canada for Elimination Chamber, the second Chamber pay-per-view that's come to Canada in 3 years. What's that mean for you, seeing a big event like this come to Toronto and also being in the Rogers Centre, a stadium show?
Well, I mean, that's huge because I do feel first of all, this is the first time we've been back at that venue since WrestleMania 18.
Mm-hmm.
So very iconic for all of us Canadians, but I think this is setting the tone for the future of WWE premium live events in Canada. I feel like we had a really amazing 2025. One that, I feel like actually we've had a great past 5 years for Canadian shows. And I'm really hoping, praying, wishing, manifesting that we can possibly have a WrestleMania again in Canada.
That would be awesome. Yes.
Right. And so I think this is setting the tone. We had an amazing Money in the Bank show, and that, I believe that was our highest grossing Canadian or stadium show or arena show. And then we had a really incredible Survivor Series. I mean, the crowd was insane. I don't know how many This Is Awesome chants we got, but I was in the crowd listening, and I was just blown away. And then of course now we're coming back to Rogers and a stadium.
Yeah.
It's what's next? Hello.
It could be anything. So we talked about WrestleMania being here in Toronto, or maybe even in Vancouver or something like that. Is there another PLE that you'd love to see come to Canada?
I mean, I guess it would be really amazing to have a Royal Rumble because we don't get to see that many superstars at one time. Do you know what I mean? I think as Canadians, we just feel oh my gosh, the show is just here. I don't even care who's on it. We're just blessed to have this show here.
100%.
Because we just don't get enough entertainment, especially in the middle of Canada. I mean, Toronto, Vancouver, we're a little bit better, but in the middle of Canada, you get nothing. So imagine if we had minimum 60 WWE superstars in one city. And
that
I'm
would
just
be crazy.
2 Royal Rumbles.
Oh my goodness, that would be crazy. Oh, so middle of Canada, I don't know how many people you're going to draw to Saskatchewan or something like that, but you might be able to get a few people out there. It's normally It's normally what, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, and Vancouver that get the big shows. Is there another underrated Canadian market out there that you're like, I'd love to see a show in that specific city?
I mean, Calgary, because I went to school at U of C in Mount Royal. I left a lot of friends in Calgary. I started wrestling in
I was going to say
Calgary.
you were trained in Calgary, right? By Lance Storm, is that correct?
By Lance Storm at Storm Wrestling Academy, and it's just, it's iconic to the kind of history and heritage of wrestling, isn't it?
It is. It's really neat, and like Canadian wrestling's in such a good place right now. There's a lot of great moments and great superstars in WWE right now that are Canadian. Do you have a current favorite Canadian wrestler? Besides
Yes,
yourself,
me.
obviously. Besides yourself.
Me. Hello, me. No, there is. Okay, so besides, I think like Natty is just so amazing. She's just had such an incredible career. She's done a lot for
Mhm.
women's wrestling, whether it be, the Guinness World Records she's broken, or even just being on Total Divas and opening up wrestling to mainstream audiences. So she's one that I just think she's so underrated, even though we still put her on a pedestal. I think she's got so much more left in her. But an up and coming, okay, I'm not including Ethan Page, and I do love Ethan Page,
Okay.
but an up and coming girly, obviously, Ariana from NXT,
Yes.
Santino's daughter, who is, I'm self-appointing her as Glamander in Chief. Um, I just think, I think she is gonna do incredible things in this industry, especially with her dad being by her side. And I think she's now found her groove in like character wrestling.
She's so funny too, right? Just natural comedy.
She's so funny.
It
I mean,
runs in
her
that family.
exactly, like, and she just like, she's young. I don't know. I think the world's her oyster right now.
That's amazing. And you obviously have like this connection to TNA, mentioning Ariana Grace. What is this TNA NXT crossover like, witnessing it from the outside? Like, you're on the main roster now as the Women's United States Champion. Seeing that you kind of helped lay the groundwork for that, that must be really cool for you.
And it's also very like, I'm jealous.
Right?
I'm so jealous. You have no idea. I'll never forget. I was the Knockouts champion, I want to say in January of 2017. I'm hoping I'm getting that year right, but they all blend together.
Right.
And I kept telling Matt at the time, like, I could totally be in the Royal Rumble. Like, people would know me. I know they'd know me. I had this, like, I was so passionate that my character had transcended, TNA and Impact, and like it had reached kind of the WWE audience, and they were starting to catch on. My following was growing, and I was just like, I wanted it so bad. And I'm sure I sent emails. I'm
Right.
sure I asked. And it wasn't possible at that time. And it was a ceiling that was just like not even glass. It was like steel. We were
Right.
not getting through that ceiling. So now to see it happening, I'm like, I wish I could still be there to experience the joy of going from TNA to, 10 to 20,000
Be
screaming
crazy.
fans of the WWE universe. Like, I'm so happy for them that they get to experience it. And I think it's really important to know that there's a huge difference between wrestling at TNA and wrestling at WWE. And it's something that a lot of people just get thrown into and don't get to like experience in bits, and like,
Right.
you're just thrown
'Cause
in the deep end, and it's
you,
like sink or swim, baby.
I was going to say, like, you had a 10-year journey and you picked up things along the way, right? And if you had that moment where you get a taste of in front of, like you said, 10,000, 20,000 people, wouldn't that make you just like want to be in that spot even bigger, right? It would drive you.
Exactly. The drive that you would get from that, the motivation, and then also the learning experience. You just learn so much as you go with the bigger audience, with the camera work, with, working either for a TV audience or for the people in the crowd. Like, it's just so different. So I'm really excited for all these little crossovers that are happening.
It's going to be amazing. And maybe someday we'll see one of those talents up in the Elimination Chamber. But I got to get your thoughts on the Women's Elimination Chamber. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to see the great Chelsea Green in it. I think there was some injustice on SmackDown, justice for Chelsea. But if you had to take a look at the 6 women in this chamber, who do you think has the best chance to walk out with the victory and go on to WrestleMania?
So my heart says Roxy,
Ooh.
but my head says Bliss.
Okay. And what's the difference between the head and the heart with that one?
Because Roxy's got so much time left. Like, there's something to be said about giving someone too much all at once.
Okay.
There's something to be said about like just going flying out of the gates, like us wrestling fans, we get bored easily. And we need people to spice things up. We need people to kind of like come out of nowhere and surprises and things like that. So I think that Bliss versus like a Rhea could be an amazing match that we've always been waiting for,
Right.
that like should have happened, that you know what I mean?
It's crazy that it hasn't happened, honestly.
And I mean, Rhea's so talented, Bliss is so talented. I feel like that's the perfect like big girl, small girl story, while like Rhea still moves like a small girl. Like there's just so much to them. And Bliss hits like a big girl.
Right.
Like we've seen her with her forearms.
Oh, she hits hard. The 5 feet of fury is not just a nickname.
Yeah, so I think that's great because I think Roxanne has so much time left to get there, and she will. I mean, look at her.
Oh yeah,
she will.
She 100%. What is she like? 23? Like the entire future sitting in front of her.
I mean, is she even 23? I don't know. I met her. Yeah, you might be right because I met her when she was like 18.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just so cool that you get to see like all the women come up through the years as well, right?
I watched her win the Ring of Honor title, and I am just so proud of her. She's amazing.
It's incredible. There's another person who's by your side right now as well. And for every great champion, you need a great security team, right? What do you think about Piper Niven being your secret Hervis?
I mean, I think she's the perfect person for it.
Yeah.
I think, we're friends, we're sisters, we're travel buddies, we are tag team partners. Who else to defend the one and only, right? Like,
absolutely.
I trust her with everything.
She's doing a great job at it as well. And it's a partnership that you wouldn't have expected, honestly, at the start, but it has been amazing to watch on TV. So it's been a fun dynamic between the two of you.
Yeah. And, we go way back. We lived in Japan together in 2016.
Okay.
So myself, and Alba and Piper. So we already had a friendship that people didn't know about. And so I think that there's something to be said about, we didn't have to start like at ground zero. We already had a friendship. I trusted her already. And I knew how talented she was. So when they put us together, it was an odd pairing. But for us, we fell back into like, we're just friends.
That's amazing.
So totally fine. Yeah.
That's amazing. It helps so much to have a connection with somebody to be able to do what you guys are doing. It's incredible to see. There is somebody else that I want to talk about here, though, when we're talking about the Elimination Chamber. His last time in the chamber, John Cena. Now, you're a great Women's United States champion. We could argue that the not even greatest Women's United States champion, greatest United States champion, period, is you. But you could also make an argument that John Cena is the second greatest United States champion. If Chelsea Green had to give Cena a little bit of advice on his road to WrestleMania, what would it be?
Whoa, that's hard. If Chelsea had to give John Cena advice, I mean, for me, like, I'm always like, que sera, sera. What will be, and it is what it is. So just enjoy the moment. But do I even have to tell John Cena that?
He's enjoyed a lot of moments, right?
Right? And like, I've noticed lately, and I actually just said this to my husband, because we're good friends with John and his wife, Shay. And I've just noticed when he gets in the ring now, there's this like calmness and just this like enjoying everything he's doing. Everything he's saying is so real and honest and raw. I feel like he's literally going into the ring and saying like, what will be, will be. Like, if you're gonna, make fun of me, I'm gonna let it happen. If the crowd is chanting something, I'm gonna react to them. So I just hope he continues to do that because it's been really, really interesting to watch.
It's a great message that he's putting out there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I do think that something is different is going to happen from Elimination Chamber on with him. I'm sensing like a shift. He's such an incredible character that you don't even know he's playing a character.
Right.
So I feel like he's going to be more intense after Chamber or maybe at Chamber. I don't know. I don't know.
Some people have wanted to see that for a long time, but like you're mentioning John Cena here, and like everybody's watched John Cena for like a long time, right? What does he mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's hard because, when I first started wrestling, I really only cared about the women. And to be honest, I'm still kind of in that mentality. Like, I'm here for the women. I'm a girl's girl. I want to push the women. I want the women to push me. I want them to succeed. I want them to break all the ceilings. But at the end of the day, like there's a few men who have been pivotal
Right.
in moments of my career, and John Cena is definitely one of them. And he gave me a really kind message at the Netflix premiere, just about this moment, being the United States champion and deserving it.
Which you do, by the way.
Thank you. So I have so many thoughts when you ask that question. I don't even know how to answer it, truly.
There's a lot of thoughts when you think of John Cena. Like he holds a special place in everybody's heart. For me, the first time I got to see him was last time at Money in the Bank in Toronto. I was there, witnessed your fall from the top of the ladder. I hope you're okay, by the way, from that, because that was a brutal spill.
Now I am,
Probably stung for a little bit though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but seeing Cena for the first time live in Toronto, it makes me realize that this is literally going to be the last time that I see him in Toronto. But when I go to Toronto, there's always something so fun about the city. Do you have something that you love to do when you come to Toronto?
Eat.
Oh, there's so many great restaurants. Do you have a favorite?
So that's the thing, is I like to go try new places every time. So I've got a notes list where, and I'll try to go and hit them all and then erase. And then hit them all and erase. So this time
Okay.
I'm going to go for a week prior to Elimination Chamber. I'm going to go for a week. I'm going to go to a Raptors game.
Nice.
I'm going to go do some fun things. I'm going to take a whole new look at what people are going to eat this time around, because so much changes.
It changes all the time, right? There's these new restaurants popping up everywhere, new top restaurants you have to see.
I will always go for an A&W poutine.
Really? That's your weakness, eh? A&W poutine.
Yeah, like I love a mom and pop shop poutine, but
there's something special about it, isn't it? Like the quick drive-through, you go through the gravy, the cheese curds, the fries are always hot. Like it's good, right?
Always hits. It always hits, and people will look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm telling you.
Have you ever had Smokes poutine?
No, should I put that on the list?
You should put that on the list. You need to go try Smokes poutine. They are everywhere.
Look, I'm going to add it right now. Smokes poutine. Boom.
Yeah, late night after you hit the bars or whatever, it is the best. There was one right near my college, and we hit it up all the time. You couldn't be beat.
I'll do Raptors game, Smokes poutine.
You need to. But speaking of Canada, you're talking about poutine. You might be the same answer here. What's the thing you miss most about Canada?
Hawkins Cheesies. Other than my family. Oh my gosh, I probably should have said my family immediately, but Hawkins Cheesies, if we're talking like a food or a thing, Hawkins Cheesies and the West Coast, being able to hike and go to the ocean in the same day. I miss that so much.
It's beautiful out there. My aunt actually lives in Kelowna, BC, so I've been to Kelowna a bunch of times, the Okanagan Lake and all that. Do you know of the Ogopogo?
Of course.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you're absolutely entrenched in BC culture right there. The Ogopogo, that thing scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid. Like when I was like 4 years old.
For anyone that doesn't know, the Ogopogo is like our Canadian Loch Ness monster. And if you don't know that, then Google.
Yeah, exactly. But back here, I've got a couple fill in the blanks for you. So just whatever comes to your mind, okay? Just say it. When I think of the Elimination Chamber, I think of blank.
I think of Liv Morgan.
And what was that? What comes to mind when you think of that with Liv Morgan?
I believe it was the spot where she jumped off of the top of the pod and like sunset flipped over somebody and power bombed them, kind of. It was something like that. And if she didn't do that, she did in my head.
I think she did. I think that was in Montreal just a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's like one of my like memories. I loved it. I loved that spot so much.
She's been crushing it.
She has. She's incredible.
We asked this in the next PLE that should come to Canada. You said WrestleMania or Royal Rumble would be great. Period.
Yeah.
Just one of those big four right there. We've had a SummerSlam. We've had Survivor Series. I've been to actually both of them as well. I go to too many Toronto shows.
I will say, though, especially in Canada, a SummerSlam would be nice so that people can truly experience our good weather.
Right. Yeah. I think 2019 was the last time we had it. And it was fine, you know, like walking around. But the energy now of WWE, I need to see that during the summer in Canada here.
Right, exactly.
The most underrated Canadian wrestler is blank.
Most underrated Canadian wrestler. Okay. So I would have said Ethan Page and El Phantasmo, but they both have amazing jobs.
Yep.
I'm going to go Artemis Spencer from ECCW, who he's an indie wrestler, and he is married to Nicole Matthews, who was at ECCW as well. And Artemis Spencer he's incredible. So he's awesome.
So worth checking out. I'll give him a follow right after this here. That's awesome. Blank will win the men's elimination chamber.
I don't know. I'm a girl. I'm just a girl. Ask me a girl question. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But like Cena.
Cena. So it's still Cena. Okay. Cena's going to win the men's elimination chamber according to Chelsea Green. Book it.
I think he should have won the Rumble.
Not a fan of the.
I think he should have won the Rumble. No, I am a fan, but I think he should have won the Rumble. And then maybe Jay. But like, then are we just.
Then they're getting there either way, right? So it all comes together. And the last question I have of the fill in the blank here is, when you think of the GOAT of the Elimination Chamber, who is that blank?
I mean, it would have been me, but because it isn't, I'm going to go with the GOAT of the Elimination Chamber as Naomi.
Nice. Good chance for her to win this year as well. But you know what? Would that make you happy knowing that after everything that went on Friday Night SmackDown? I was gonna say, like, that makes you kind of like have that drive to go back after her again, right?
No, can't stand her. Banned all wedgies after that. I don't want her to win, but she is the GOAT because hasn't she been in like every Elimination Chamber? And I believe she has won Elimination Chambers, and like, she's just amazing. So it's great to see her get at this opportunity, but it should have been Chelsea Green. We can all admit that right here. Okay, so I like to end these episodes with one thing every single time, and that is a positive message from my guest. So Chelsea, if you could put anything out there into the world, what would it be? I think it would just be, I love if you set a goal for yourself. I love if you manifest. I love if you have a dream, but just take a second to remember that actually the amazing part about getting to your goal or your dream or whatever it is the journey that it took you to get there. And once you get there, you can't go back. You're gonna be very, very thankful that all those little speed bumps and, little turns where you had to come back, they are what makes your journey personal to you and unique to you. And that's what, at the end of the day, when you are 95, you're going to talk about not the fact that you achieved that dream, but you're going to talk about all those pit stops you made along the way. So just like soak it in and remember that when you hit a little speed bump.
Enjoy the ride. I love it. So everybody, be sure to check out Elimination Chamber on Saturday, March 1st at the Rogers Center. Tickets are still available on ticketmaster.ca. I've got mine. I'll be there. Chelsea, thank you so very much. You are without a doubt the greatest women's United States champion of all time. It's been incredible. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.